Welcome to Pick Your Poison, where we compare the most notorious criminals in history. In this episode, we will be examining two of the most feared and ruthless OGs to ever come out of Los Angeles, California. And in the streets of LA, few names struck fear into people's hearts quite like Tookie Williams and Monster Cody. Both men were leaders of their respective Crip sets and were responsible for countless violent crimes in their neighborhoods. Tookie Williams was one of the founding members of the Crips. And on the other hand, Monster Cody, also known as Seneca Shakur, was a member of the infamous 8 Trey gangster Crips in South Central LA. In this episode of Pick Your Poison, we'll explore the lives of these two notorious gangsters and compare their crimes, leadership styles, and ultimate fates. But who was the more dangerous of the two? Who was the smarter criminal? And who ultimately had the more lasting impact on the gang world? Join us as we compare and contrast the lives and crimes of these two infamous gang leaders and let Yall determine which of them truly deserves the title of the most notorious Crip of all time. Don't forget to let me know who you think is the double OG, triple OG, down in the comments. Stanley Tooky Williams had a lengthy arrest record, with his criminal activity beginning in his teenage years. He was first arrested at the age of 17 for stealing a car, and from there his criminal activity escalated to armed robbery and drug dealing. Williams was arrested several times throughout the 1970s and 1980s, with charges ranging from assault to murder. In 1979, he was convicted of murdering 4 people during 2 separate robberies, and he was sentenced to death. Despite maintaining his innocence and claiming that he had reformed while in prison, Williams was executed by lethal injection in 2005. Cody Scott also had a lengthy criminal record before he turned his life around. Born and raised in Los Angeles, Cody joined the gang called the 8 Trey Gangster Crips when he was just 11. He quickly rose through the ranks, becoming a prominent member of the gang and participating in various criminal activities, including drug dealing, robbery, and murder. In 1979, at the age of 16, Cody was arrested for his involvement in a drive-by shooting that left 2 people dead and several others injured. He was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison and spent most of his adult life behind bars. During his time in prison, Cody began to reassess his life and eventually renounced his gang affiliation, becoming a respected author and community activist.
This was the center of Monster Cody's existence, one small violent part of Los Angeles, the corner of Florence and Normandy, where last year's riots broke out. He grew up just a few blocks from here, and this is the neighborhood where he made his reputation, with the 8 Trey Gangsters, a violent, predatory faction of the Crips, 1 battalion in the Los Angeles gang wars.
He joined the Crips at age 11 on the day he graduated from the 6th grade. That night, he says he was given a shotgun, and for his initiation, he pumped 8 rounds into the ranks of a rival gang.
Why would an 11-year-old want to carry a gun and go out and kill people?
It was necessary. It was either I got with the power or I was a victim. Either you get with it or you don't. It's pressure, peer pressure. It's normal. And this is normality. There's no measuring stick for normality where we live. And so whatever happens to be the trend at that particular time, which was shooting people, was the normal thing to do. It didn't matter that I was 11. I could have been 9.
At 15, he was arrested for assault. A year later, he was shot 6 times in an ambush. He survived to become a general with the title OG, Original Gangster, a full-fledged ghetto star.
Do you have any idea how many people you've killed?
No, I don't even know. I wonder how many people Oliver North killed. I don't know. Or Norman Schwarzkopf. He's a hero, isn't he? I don't know.
But you remember doing it?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I was engaged in the war, and the rules of engagement were kill or be killed,
Back up. Don't run on the door. Face the wall over here.
He is presently occupied at the Pelican Bay State Prison, the Devil's Island of the California penal system, where he's serving a 7-year sentence for robbery and assault, indisposed to all but carefully screened guests.
Escort coming in.
He spends 22.5 hours a day in solitary confinement, where he wrote his autobiography with a prison-issue pencil.
Manhunt for Kody DeJohn Scott, wanted for violating terms of his parole, considered a parolee at large. His criminal history includes assault with a deadly weapon, carjacking, and robbery. He's 52 years old, 5'9", 205 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes, known to frequent Oceanside but is considered transient. For more details, go to CBS8.com and hit our Crime Fighters page. Or if you have any information, call San Diego Crime.
Monster Kody was found dead and badly decomposed on June 7, 2021. By his wife Tamu, at a homeless encampment near the San Luis River Trail in Oceanside. He was 57 years old and was determined to have died of natural causes, according to the San Diego County Medical Examiner's Office. At the time of his death, he was preparing to publish a fourth book and launch a podcast with another former gang member. The case of Stanley Tooky Williams' execution was a highly controversial issue, with many people pleading for Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger to spare his life. Tooky's supporters included numerous public figures, activists, and celebrities, such as Jesse Jackson, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and even rapper Snoop Dogg.
Yesterday, Williams' lawyer asked the California Supreme Court for a last-minute delay. Williams, a co-founder of the notorious LA street gang, the Crips, was convicted of killing 4 people in 1979, though he maintains his innocence.
Everything is predicated on hearsay from individuals with irreputable backgrounds, facing capital punishment themselves or other murders or what have you.
Williams' lawyers argue that prosecutors failed to disclose that one of the witnesses against him was not a U.S. citizen and had a violent criminal history, which prevented them from arguing that witness might have been the real killer.
What they're trying to show is that Stanley Williams did not receive a fair trial because he was not allowed to argue that someone else committed these murders and that he was denied his due process rights because of that ruling.
The bigger issues facing Governor Schwarzenegger: has Tooky Williams rehabilitated himself by denouncing violence, encouraging a gang truce, and writing children's books? And is there a lingering doubt about the validity of his murder convictions?
And I will be reading and doing all the research on it so we make the right decision.
Snoop, the world's most famous Crip, was one of the most vocal advocates for Tooky's clemency. He not only spoke out in the media, but also organized a protest and a prayer vigil outside San Quentin State Prison, where Williams was eventually executed.
And what was so crazy was that I didn't get this from somebody that was on the streets. I didn't get this from my father or uncle. I got this from Stanley Tooky Williams, a brother that was locked up on death row. He inspired me to want to do something positive with my life and to go touch them kids and to really be in their face and not just send an autograph or act like I was going to show up, but really come to the place and show up and touch hands with the people. So I want to say to you, Governor, that Stanley Tooky Williams is not just a regular old guy. He's an inspirator. He inspires me, and I know I inspire millions. So if he's inspiring me and I inspire millions, you add that up. That's over 100 million people that's inspired by what he do. Also, I want to thank all of y'all for coming out here showing that support, because that's where it starts. You know, people got to understand that it's not just a publicity stunt. It's real people out here. I see people of all walks, all ages, all sizes, all colors. It don't matter. We're all about one thing, humanity, man. It's about keeping this man alive because his voice needs to be heard. Anytime you got a voice that's saving lives and trying to, put people in...
The support for Williams stemmed from the fact that he had become a respected and influential figure in the community during his time in prison. He had written several books, including a series of children's books warning against gang involvement, and some had even advocated for him to be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Williams had also publicly renounced his past involvement in the Crips and had become an advocate for anti-gang initiatives. His supporters argued that he had undergone a genuine transformation and had done a great deal of good in the world. Despite the widespread support for Williams, Governor Schwarzenegger denied his clemency petition, and Williams was executed by lethal injection on December 13, 2005. The case of Stanley Tooky Williams remains controversial to this day, with many people believing that his execution was unjust and that he should have been spared due to his positive contributions to society. Although we can't deny that there were some people at the time that were glad to see the legend go, and were not sympathetic to his pleas.
Thou shalt not kill. I don't care if you're the governor, president, me, you, thou shalt not kill. Now, if dude killed somebody, Let God deal with it. That's not my call. That's not your call. Anybody else's call. Just that simple.
And as far as, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's worrying about his political aspect of it. I think, as far as if he's worrying about votes, I think he might have lost a lot of votes from the black community.
Consider humanity, the dignity of the human person, even a criminal, is worthy of the respect because he's a human being, and so that penalty is the negation of human dignity.
Well, I mean, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You kill someone, you're gonna punish for it. So.
I felt that he should have died because he killed other people, so I don't think they should have did anything different for him just because he wrote some books. He shouldn't have lived.
I can't help it, I'm protest penalty. I can't help it, I was born protest penalty. I can't help it, I'm a Christian, and I'm for the state of California to execute these people. Tookie didn't steal a loaf of bread, he murdered 4 people. Those are the real victims here, boys and girls. Try to get your priorities in order. Tookie is nothing more than a murderer. Deal with it.
Now let's talk about some of the similarities between these two major figures in the gang world, since Tookie Williams and Monster Cody are no doubt two of the most infamous gang leaders in Los Angeles history. Both men were involved in the gang life from an early age and became leaders of their respective Crip sets. Tookie co-founded the Crips gang in 1969, the West Side Crips to be exact, while Cody was a high-ranking member of the 8-Tray Gangster Crips in the 1980s. It's time to take a deeper dive into the similarities between these true OGs. Both were involved in violent crimes. Tookie Williams was convicted of several crimes, including armed robbery and murder, while Monster Cody was involved in several shootings, drug trafficking, and assaults. Both served time in prison. Tookie Williams was sentenced to death row for murder, while Monster Cody also served many stints in prison for numerous crimes. Both wrote books. Tookie Williams wrote several books, including Life in Prison and Blue Rage, Black Redemption, which detailed his life as a gang member and his eventual transformation. Monster Cody wrote a book titled Monster, the autobiography of an LA gang member, which also chronicled his life in the gang and his eventual decision to leave. Both became advocates for anti-gang initiatives. Tookie Williams became an advocate for peace and anti-gang sentiments, and Monster Cody also became an advocate for anti-gang initiatives after leaving the gang, and they both have spoken publicly about their experiences and the need for change in inner-city communities. As the sun sets on the streets of South Central Los Angeles, two notorious figures loom in the shadows, each with a reputation that sends shivers down the spines of those who dare to cross them. On one side stands the towering and fearsome figure of Monster Cody, a man who ruled over the streets with an iron fist. On the other side stands the legendary Stanley Tooky Williams, a man whose name is synonymous with the foundation of the Crips gang and a legacy of violence that still echoes through the city to this day. These two titans of gangland represent the very essence of the Pick Your Poison series, pitting one infamous figure against another, in a battle for notoriety and legacy. This is the part of the video when we will provide a convincing argument for both sides. Will the brutal and ruthless Monster Cody prove too much for Tookie Williams? Or will the legendary founder of the Crips rise to the occasion and claim his place in the pantheon of gangster legends? Only you, the viewer, will decide, as these two icons of the streets prepare to face off in a battle that is sure to be unforgettable. Tell us who wins in your book, down in the comments below. Now we will make our first of two arguments, starting first by making a case for Tookie Williams as the top Crip OG in history. Let me know down in the comments who you are siding with. If you haven't made up your mind yet, maybe one of the arguments provided will sway you. Tookie Williams was one of the most notorious and feared Crip gang leaders of all time, with a legacy that has lasted long after his death. Compared to Monster Kody, Tookie was a more effective and intelligent leader, with a leadership style that inspired fear and loyalty in his followers. Monster Kody wasn't really known before he wrote that book, as opposed to Tookie, who didn't write his books just to clout chase like Kody. He genuinely wanted to make a difference in the community. Tookie was most known for his strategic thinking, which allowed him to align himself with Raymond Washington and kick this whole Crip thing off to begin with. Not just for one semi-controversial book, bragging about his exploits on the streets like Kody. Sounds like might be tall tales to me, if you know what I mean. People always brag and exaggerate to sell books anyways, don't they? Tookie is literally the definition of an original gangster. It's not just a term of endearment or way to show respect to elders when it comes to Tookie. And we all know, Tookie had way more support from various celebrities and advocates. Hell, Jamie Foxx even went and made a whole movie based on the Tookie story. It was called Redemption, and that's actually how Snoop even learned about the controversial details of Tookie's case. In addition to these two notable A-list celebs, a large number of civil rights organizations, religious leaders, and community activists voiced their support for Williams. Shoot, let me list off a few just to remind you. Jesse Jackson, Desmond Tutu, the Pope, and Louis Farrakhan all made public statements pleading for Tookie's clemency, and put their necks out on the line to speak out against his execution. In contrast, Monster Kody did not have nearly the same level of celebrity support or public attention for his case. There was no doubt who really had the clout. Tookie also had a way more profound impact on the gang culture than Monster Kody. Because not only was Tookie a more intelligent leader than Kody, but he was also much more famous and notorious all around, with a violent streak that earned him the respect and admiration of his fellow gangsters. He was involved in numerous shootouts and violent clashes with rival gangs, cementing his reputation as a ruthless OG who would stop at nothing to protect his territory or his comrades. But perhaps most importantly, Tookie's legacy as a founder of the Crip gang and his subsequent efforts to turn his life around by promoting peace and nonviolence set him apart from Monster Kody. While Kody's book was a detailed account of life in the gang, Tookie's work to promote education and helping young people avoid the gang lifestyle has had a much broader impact on the community. Tookie's books have been used in schools and prisons to help many at-risk youth and inmates turn their lives around. This community work has cemented his legacy as a transformative figure in the gang world. He even started the Tookie Protocol for Peace, which aimed to discourage youth from joining gangs. On the other hand, Kody remained entrenched in the gang life and continued to engage in criminal activity even while serving time in prison. Tookie was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize for Christ's sake. Kody's name was never mentioned next to no damn Nobel Peace Prize. Overall, to sum up this argument, Tookie's intelligence, strategic thinking, leadership qualities and ability to connect with so many people worldwide, not just celebrities, makes him a more notorious and legendary Crip gang leader than Monster Kody. Tookie's legacy as a founding member of the Crips, and his impact on the gang culture, made him a major figure that few can match, including Monster Kody. Out of respect for the dead, I won't even go in on how Kody ended up, and how he was found deceased and homeless, tweaking in a tent. We are now at our final argument, which is for Monster Kody of course, but please bear with me on this one. The premise of pick your poison is kind of like kangaroo court. Except the viewers are the judge, jury, and executioner, no pun intended. That being said, right or wrong, everyone gets a proper defense, or proper argument in this particular instance. So here we go. As an 8-tray gangster Crip OG Loc, Monster Kody stood out as one of the most formidable figures in South LA. Kody rose to fame in the late 1970s and early 1980s and was well known for his extreme brutality, which made him one of the most feared, loved, and respected leaders in the gang world at the time. Unlike Tookie Williams, Kody was a high-ranking member of the gang who earned his status solely through his actions. And those actions comprised of pure, untethered violence. He wasn't just in the right place at the right time, around the right friends. He didn't stumble into Crippin accidentally after a fight over some leather jacket, like Tookie. Kody had the benefit of hindsight bias and knew the dangers of being a gangbanger. And he made a conscious decision to get active, despite the danger, because he was that much of a real one. Kody wanted all the smoke and he wasn't ducking nothing that came with that life. Let's keep it a buck. Tookie went to prison in 1979. We all know that the streets were not nearly as dangerous back then. That's back when fools were still meeting up in parking lots with leather jackets trying to duke it out. Kody, on the other hand, was out on the streets during one of the most dangerous eras in history, during the crack epidemic. Come on now. You know Tookie was probably running around with one of them Lil Pea Shooter, Saturday Night Special, Lil 6-bullet revolver with no clip type joints. While Kody was out here running the streets, when gangbangers had the Uzis, the Techs, the Nines, and all types of other heavy artillery that just wasn't around during Tookie's time. Monster even took a picture with something heavy on the cover of a magazine, probably for shock value but also to let the ops know how he's coming. And Kody didn't get jammed up once, and it was all over like Tookie. Kody kept banging Crip in the slammer and made it back out on the street to push the blue line farther, like a real G posed to. This is proof that Kody was a smarter criminal. He was able to circumvent the system like a true boss. I understand that Tookie was fighting for his life, but I don't think a true G is supposed to catch a case and switch up on the homies. Start hanging with celebs and shit. Kody was more for the streets in my opinion. Kody's consistent crippin' and ability to stay active for a longer period of time gave him an edge over Tookie, as far as being the top loc is concerned. Respect to big homie Tookie for evolving and making a change for the better, but you can't be the top Crip in my book if your last message was anti-gang PSA. Kody's leadership style was based on respect, loyalty, and fear. He demanded complete loyalty from his gang members and was quick to punish those who crossed him. However, he also had a deep respect for his fellow gang members and didn't switch up the program when he caught his case like Tookie. He was allegedly responsible for numerous murders and acts of brutality, which earned him a reputation as one of the most dangerous gang members in the area. Kody's penchant for violence and his willingness to go to extremes made him a more treacherous Crip than Tookie to many people on the streets, especially since Kody didn't get pinched for life like Tookie. Kody was always in and out the pen, so people on the street actually had to fear him. He wasn't some mythical figure from the past that no one had to worry about seeing face to face, like Tookie. People knew they could be touched, messing with Monster. To conclude this final argument for Monster, Kody's legacy as a Crip gang leader is just as profound as Tookie's to some people. Kody was instrumental in the evolution and spread of the Crip gang, and his influence can still be felt today. Kody later renounced his gang involvement and became a writer and speaker on the topic of gang violence and its impact on communities also. So it's not like Tookie has that angle over him really if you think about it. His memoir is a widely read and influential account of gang life in Los Angeles. Monster, the autobiography of an LA gang member, is considered a legendary work of art in the genre and has influenced countless young people. Kody's legacy as a gang leader and his impact on gang culture in Los Angeles make him a true legend, and possibly the most treacherous Crip in gang history.
Motherfuckers is out here in tents. R.I.P. Monster Kody. You know what I mean? But this is how he went out. In a motherfucking tent. Check on your big homies, man. Make sure these niggas ain't sleeping in a tent. And this is the hood.